After an experimental lab was raided by TCRI, a vial dropped into the sewers where a rat, Master Splinter, Jackie Chan, and 4 turtles, Leonardo, Nicholas Cantu, Donatello, Mika Appy, Raphael, Brady Noon, and Michelangelo, Shaman Brown Jr., would mutate into humanoid creatures. Living underground, they desired to live among humans. Hoping that one day they'd be accepted by humanity, they devised a plan to let the humans see them as heroes. But with the involvement of more mutants, the turtles have to make a choice of which lifestyle to follow. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a nice movie with some cool animation styles. It follows the structure very well while also giving us a nice message interwoven with its comedy. I feel like the movie succeeded in giving us an entertaining movie for all ages, where my favorite aspect of the movie is the antagonist. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles begins in a lab located inside an abandoned apartment complex. TCRI soldiers bust in and cause chaos, causing a vial of ooze, to fall into the sewers. Managing to escape the attack, Superfly, Ice Cube, rescues his brethren and cares for them as the story progresses. The opening sets up the tone very well, while giving us the necessary backgrounds for our world, both our antagonists' motives and some magic system rules. We continue our story with the Turtles, 15 years later. We see how their everyday life is. Using their ninja skills, they gather the items on the grocery list, and when they're done, they wonder at human life, watching a movie at a distance and wishing they can just be accepted. But Splinter retells them the story about his past and experiences with humans and how he became to be a parental figure to them. I found this monologue/backstory to be executed well. Not only are we given for their backstory, but we also see their origin and, most importantly, Splinter's character, which will come back into play later on. It's a nice explanation where it's not convoluted or loses our attention span because of the long dialogue. With only the question of how they have phones with servers, I'm following along, hoping that one day they can be accepted by humans. So from the opening image and the exposition, I'm starting to enjoy the movie. With nice animation styles that shows a comic-esque appearance, I'm fully invested. In our catalyst moment, the turtles mess around with their weapons, causing a ninja star to hit April O-Niel, Ayo Edibri, in her helmet. Feeling guilty that her bike was stolen, they, mainly Leo, put up an effort to return it. After managing to beat off a group of men, they realize that their training has paid off, as they manage to fight off against these men. This lets them to believe they can take down Superfly when April O-Niel brings up that she wasn't afraid of them because she viewed them as heroes. In other words, their actions have led them here. Their plan was created by them. They are being active, which is great. We then get a cool montage of the turtles beating up people, asking for information on Superfly. Though the music was an interesting choice for the visuals in my opinion, I liked this montage sequence. It was pretty cool. For the midpoint, the turtles made up with Superfly, but find out, like them, he's a mutant, taking care of other mutants. This puts them in an awkward situation. On the one hand, they find out that they aren't the only mutants around, but on the other hand, their plan involves killing off all the humans. The villain was a pretty well written antagonist in terms of structure. Superfly is a standard villain who seeks revenge for trauma caused to him. But what I also like was that his methods not only help the turtles understand their wrongs, it also helps Splinter see his wrongdoings. Personally, for me, a good antagonist is not only one that poses a threat and obstacles to the protagonist, it allows the protagonist to understand what he or she needs instead of what he or she wants, while also coming from somewhere. In other words, have their situation be a counter-image to our protagonist where their actions differ from the heroes. That way, we as the audience both sympathize with our hero and villain while also seeing which path not to take, so to speak. And in this movie, Superfly is both a counter-image to the turtles and Splinter. Both Superfly and Splinter have cared for the mutants, and even though both have the same mentality of protecting those they love, their actions differ, and the antagonist helps our protagonist go through a metamorphosis, allowing Splinter to change and be a better person because of it. As for the turtles, both our protagonist and antagonist want to be accepted by humans, but end up having different actions to achieve their goal, making Superfly a pretty well-written antagonist. When we reach our all is lost moment, the turtles come to tell their newly discovered mutant companions that their actions are wrong and that there's better ways for acceptance. So he begins to fight them. Though the machine is destroyed, the damage causes a horrific mutation, allowing Superfly to mutate into Super Duperfly, and now his eyes are set to New York. Not only do we see that after everything, the turtles still have moral ground and are willing to do what's right, but Splinter gets an eye-opener when Superfly repeats what Splinter said to his boys. There's only one way for you to feel safe and happy, and that's if you listen to me. This aspect I found very intriguing, one that I would say is good writing. After the mutates and the turtles come together, they go fight off Superfly. When we enter Act 3, the turtles understand that they have been doing everything the wrong way and come up with a new plan to overcome the obstacle, allowing them to jump over the last hurdle, working with each other as the group and defeating Superfly. I understand that in some scenes, the dialogue and actions of the turtles felt immature and childish, and to some extent I agree. However, I felt it was acceptable given that they are teenagers, secluded from society where they don't know any better. Overall, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a structurally well comical and entertaining movie that abided to the structure in a good way. Not only the villain was written well, by being a counter-image to the heroes in Splinter, he also provided a good threat to our heroes. I enjoyed the movie in various aspects, like the animation. Although I am very unaware of the history and lore behind the Turtles, I was content that I can follow along this story.